What's up, guys? This is the Games channel, and this is our reaction to the Sony E3 2017 press conference that just went down. What the fuck? Holy shit. My name's Garrett at Garrett, YOGRRTT. If you've never tuned into the Games channel or the Constant Rotation Podcast Network, we have podcasts every day pretty much on this channel, on this podcast network. You can look us up on iTunes at Constant Rotation Podcast Network, and Games Show live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. PST on twitch.tv/Constant Rotation at ANGames, ANNDGAMES, and bit.ly/ANNDGMESYT, our YouTube channel, or just look up Games on YouTube. I don't know. Yeah, do that. But yeah, this is the one conference that I was most excited for. You could check out our other reviews, our latest podcast, and I detailed all the shit that I was predicting and excited for and feeling like was going to happen, and PlayStation delivered in a different way, but still capitalized on all the things that I was wanting to see and hit all the right notes that we all think should be on a PlayStation E3 conference stage in 2017. So to start off, they had the past few years, PlayStation/Sony has been kind of throwing in these live orchestras within their show. Last year it was just nonstop, just fucking sick, added such a beautiful tone and mood to the atmosphere in the room. This year they started off with Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and they got the Vuvuzelas live on stage to just give a little tone piece, but that was kind of it for the orchestra, to be honest. Going to that, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy looks great. Excited. August of this year. Get excited. It's actually a lot more robust than what I was thinking. When you put together an Uncharted game that's alone, without Nathan Drake, it's kind of hard for me to picture how long and how big and how important this story is going to be. But they did a really good job of selling me on why I should want to pick it up and why you should want to pick it up. Very cinematic, like most Uncharted games are. Can't be hated. Horizon Zero Dawn expansion DLC was next. It's called The Frozen Wilds. It showed off a lot of icy terrains and giant mech robot dinos coming to, destroy and rampage up the fucking place. So if you played Horizon, I got through a little bit of it. I enjoyed the combat. I need to get back and finish the story. I'm kind of interested in seeing where Aloy goes. But Horizon Zero Dawn, we kind of could assume that there's going to be some DLC coming. So The Frozen Wilds is what was next. The next thing that went down was Days Gone, which is Sony Ben's new game, the first game that they've made since 2012, since they put out that Uncharted game, The Golden Abyss or whatever, on the Vita, the motherfucking greatest console in the world. Days Gone, again, it's one of those things where why did Ben make a game that's set in Oregon when they literally develop in Oregon? I just wish they kind of maybe used their imaginations and made up a world rather than look out the window and just, make the game the setting. But as I said on the watch-along commentary, you can find that on our channel. I kind of feel like that kind of lends to them understanding, and if you're going to make a game that's set in Oregon, you better understand what the fuck that is and what the environment is and what the environmental cues should be. And if you're living in Oregon, which most of these people are who develop at Ben, pretty much all of them are, I assume, unless you're commuting really far, they know Oregon. So if anyone's going to sell us on that setting, it's going to be them. Pretty excited. I didn't see a release date for that game, which is ridiculous, but the game looks really, really good and really, really pretty, and it plays well. The characters are kind of iffy in my eyes as far as do I really give a fuck? It's not like another Joel or Ellie or another Nathan Drake at the moment, but just the idea of these World War Z zombie things just rampaging through a video game has me soiled in the pants. Next thing that they showed was this was a weird one for me, but Monster Hunter. That's kind of one of those things where I didn't really see that coming when I was watching the trailer. I thought it was Ark, but yeah, it's Monster Hunter World. Showed off some dinosaurs. Monster Hunter is usually a Nintendo property, so it's cool to see that come over to the PlayStations. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. Next thing, this was kind of the biggest surprise, I would say, for the conference itself, is Blue Point Studios, the guys who did that. They did Uncharted's collection. They do a lot of the collections, and they work on a lot of games in the Sony world. They're doing a full remake of Shadow of the Colossus, and holy shit, the scale, man. The scale is absurd. It's when you play that game on PS2, it was such a revolutionary game for its time because no one had attempted to create that scale and actually succeed at doing that scale of like you being this big and the monster being like gigantic. That like seems simple when you say it out loud, especially nowadays with our 3D like just games. That's just a normal thing. But back in the day, that was something that like was a big technical feature, and to make that seem important is a hard thing to do. So I don't know if it was just the nostalgia of me watching the PlayStation E3 trailer on the conference today, but that I got real pumped. I hope it plays as well as I remember it to do. And I know that game doesn't hold up in the best aspects. It's not like a 10 out of 10 today, but maybe they can do something to make it still feel like it is the technical achievement and marvelous game that we all know and remember. After that, they went into Marvel vs. Capcom story. I guess the beta is available now, or the demo more so. Go check that out if that's something that you care about. It looks cool. It was cool to see like Mega Man messing with Rocky Raccoon. Like that whole idea is very cool to me. Those catalog of characters are nothing but good. Call of Duty World War II showed off. Pretty cool. It showed like a vehicle at one point, and I don't know if it was a kill streak or if they were saying that vehicles are actually like playable in multiplayer, but there's straight up a vehicle going down on like towards the battleship that you're fighting on. Probably just a kill streak, knowing that it's Call of Duty, but still pretty excited to see what they do with that. Then they went into this VR world section, pretty much Skyrim VR they announced, which was awesome. It looks actually really, really good. Star Child VR was the next one. Wilson's Heart. It's a new IP built for VR. Monsters of the Deep. It was like this Final Fantasy 15 like DLC expansion thing where like you could fish, and it focuses on the deeps and shit. Bravo Team was the next one. That one actually was the one that kind of caught my eye. It was maybe taking the idea of what Riggs was as far as like a competitive shooter and like a open arena, and applying it with real guns instead of mechanized. There we go. Mechanized Combat League. With the real guns like AKs and shit. So, and then the last one was like, it's like this little mouse game. He has like a sword, but it's like a toothpick essentially. Like it's called Moss. MOSS. I don't know how to say it, but that was cool, I guess. God of War then went into it. The scale on God of War is insane. I don't understand how to take a character like Kratos, which is 1, 2, and 3, and even Ascension, looking at those God of War games, and the Ghost of Sparta kind of is the best example in my opinion, but that's a weird one. But as far as like the character of Kratos is kind of boring, and he's always just been like, that's the most character development you're ever going to get from a God of War game as far as Kratos goes. This one, though, they give him a son, and all of a sudden you see him think back and kind of just be like, oh, shit. You can't parent when you're just going, and that dichotomy between those two with like, Kratos just being this overly big hero that we know of him, and villain in some cases, the anti-hero, if you will, the God of War. And then see this little fucking kid. That's such a brilliant juxtaposition, and Santa Monica is actually taking their time to like make sure that resonates with the audience, and that's a hard thing to do, but they're not shying away from the task, and I appreciate that. Another thing is that as far as the plot goes, it wasn't too much going in there. I kind of appreciated the long 15-minute opening that they did last year at last year's show, but this year's show, they kind of cut in between vignettes of like the trailers with the different gameplay. So it wasn't just a continuous from point A to point B of just gameplay loop. It was more of like a lot of quick cuts and like jumping between areas. Like there's this one moment with this giant sea monster and just like, and it's fucking sick, dude. So sick. God of War, man. I can't be more excited to see where Kratos goes. That is the most exciting thing, and to know that it looks good, and to know that it's like looks like it's running an engine. Early 2018 was the date that they flashed at the end of the trailer. Awesome. Perfect. Let's keep going. Next up, they go straight into Detroit. Here. That's the monster. And like what was weird is that it felt like the kid, like Kratos' little kid, felt like homeboy was like chatting with him. So I don't know if Kratos got jiggy with it with a Norse god to make the kid, and now the kid is like a demigod which is like a mixture of the two different God types, which would, I don't know what that would do, but like the way they were talking, like the kid was just basically like, now that I know what you did, and like, I don't know if he's talking about just all the terrible things that Kratos has done, because there's a lot that he could be talking about, but I feel like it has something to do with who the kid is in relation to Kratos, rather than just being like the paternal relationship that's already like at face value. There's something more there, and they're teasing it, but they're not giving it away, and I appreciate that. Moving forward, Detroit, David Cage's new game. Detroit, man. Detroit just continues to just be insane. I keep saying insane, but that's how I feel about these Sony first party games, is like they're doing everything right, and Sony, more importantly, PlayStation, Sony, whoever is giving them the time, Shuhei Yoshida, they're giving them the time to finish these games and make them what they should be and what they can be. And I know in my heart that when you watch Detroit, that you can see where the quality is, and you can see where that game is going in a much more like, you know, that the more time that comes with Detroit, the more time that we give it to grow, the more time that we give it to exist, the better that game is going to be. And I mean that wholeheartedly. That should be with all games, but it's not always with all games, unfortunately. But there's something about this game in particular where each time I see it, whether it's Kara from the initial reveal, and now we had, I forget the guy's name, like Jason or something, just fuck, dude, it was so good. Just very, 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 very smart. And David Cage is just revealing this game brilliantly, and I'm so excited to see when this game comes out. No release date at all. So God of War put early 18 or 2018. Nothing on this bitch. Just fat goose egg. Just when it's done. And I like that. I respect that. I'll wait. No worries. To close out the show, Shawn Layden comes out one more time. By the way, Shawn Layden only came out for like a total of 7 minutes, I think, like at most. And he was just like, "Oh, what'd you think of that? That was pretty cool, huh? Let's just go back into the games." Like it was perfect, awesome. Final game, he comes out. He's like, "Hey, this is what we're ending the show with." We already knew that this was announced, that it was going to be at the conference. So if I knew what it was going to be, and I knew that at that moment, Sucker Punch's game was not going to be revealed. Very sad. Very disappointed. I wanted that. But we got a good like 4 minutes of just the most ridiculously awesome Spider-Man gameplay. And it was like, take the Arkham games for Batman and mix them with like the cinematics of an Uncharted like motion cutscene where like you're doing the prompts, etc. And just, I can't do it justice, so please just pause this video or just leave this video, whatever you got to do to go and see that Spider-Man trailer, because it's insane. Like it is the most ground swelling trailer I think we are going to see on the internet through the course of E3, because I don't think Nintendo is going to come out with something that wows us as much as that did. Like the insanity and the boldness and just the scale. Like we have Spider-Man, who is Peter Parker, and he's just flipping and doing these like traversial acrobatic combat where he's like pushing dudes off of like the building and then bringing them back up, flipping them over their heads so they like fall off of the building. He pulls them back onto the building and smashes their face onto the cement. Like that's actual combat that you can do with your buttons, with your hands in this game. And that's just something I couldn't wrap my head around when they said that was gameplay in the trailer last year. But now that we see this in motion with a HUD and everything, the map is over there. They didn't really confirm if it was open world, but we do know that this is a true PlayStation Sony game. It's not coming to Xbox. It's not going to happen. It's only on PlayStation, where Spider-Man is going to live for the foreseeable future for video games, as far as that goes. Kingpin is like the villain. We also got Mr. Negative in there in the chopper in the trailer, and then like Norman Osborn was popping up. Bro, like it was insane. Like basically the whole montage is like, it goes from Peter Parker like just jumping in to go check on Wilson Fisk. Turns out Wilson Fisk isn't actually behind what's going on, and that Wilson Fisk's dudes are actually being like set up by this other dude. It turns out to be Mr. Negative. Then he just goes on this huge goose chase just to find just to take down this helicopter. And like he takes down that fucking helicopter, and oh my God. Oh my God. Guys, Spider-Man is here to stay for the video game world. And I don't think we could ask for anything more. I think we would be selfish if we asked for anything more. Because holy fucking shit, that was insane. That's just go watch it because I my head hurts. But at the end of that, the trailer ends. They go to the little like PlayStation outro montage, and then they have an after credit scene, and it shows Miles Morales just like looking up at Spider-Man, like what Spider-Man did, and like he's taking a picture.